The Citizens Amendment Bill was passed in the Indian Parliament within 2 days. This is an unprecedented thing for a very complicated legislation like Citizenship Amendment Bill. It was amended. The 1955 law was amended in a very drastic manner without any real consideration about the implications and future ramifications of such a legislation. Of course, the real impact of the legislation has already started. The northeastern India is actually been burning for the last 2-3 days in the country. Now the violent agitations have extended to places like Bengal. But in other parts of the country also people are extremely angry about it. They are not violently protesting, but people are on the street. People are seriously concerned about it because this legislation is going to have a very serious impact on the lives of each and every Indian citizen. Because the citizenship is now being converted onto the basis of religion. This is something unprecedented because in every country in the world, a citizen becomes a citizen on the basis of his birth in a particular place. If you are born to a place, you are a citizen of that particular country. It is not on the basis of religion that citizenship is conferred, except in Israel. And Israel has always been an international pariah. All international agencies, including the UN, including various countries in the world, have said that the way Israel has been promoting this religion-based approach to nationalism, this is wrong. But now India also has accepted this Israeli concept of citizenship based on religion and ethnicity. And it's very surprising that the Indian government, especially the Indian agencies like Home Department, Foreign Affairs Department, they have not really considered what is going to be the implications of such a legislation. When Assam was burning, the visit of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had to be cancelled. That is also unprecedented because in the recent India's Look East policy, Japan has been one of the key countries in which India has been depending upon for its future development. Unlike the Western countries, Indian policy makers have thought that Japan will be one of the collaborators for our development. And Shinzo Abe was also very keen about developing trade relations, economic relations with India. And Guwahati in Assam was the place where they were supposed to meet, the Indian Prime Minister and Japanese Prime Minister. That has been cancelled because the place was burning. That is the first implication of how unprepared, totally unprepared they were about the implications, the ramifications of this legislation. Then secondly, India's neighbors, countries like Bangladesh and other countries, we had so many problems with them, but we had a very easy working relationship also with countries like Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Now the Bangladesh Foreign Affairs Minister and Home Minister, they were supposed to be in India in the last 2-3 days. They were supposed to meet and discuss mutual problems with the Foreign Affairs Minister, the Home Minister of the country. But they have decided that they are not going to visit India. They have called off. They have withdrawn from that visit. What is the implication of the decision of the neighboring countries not to cooperate with India? That would send out an image that India is not a country which can be trusted. That would also send out the current legislation also sends out a message that India is unnecessarily interfering in the internal affairs of our neighbors, because this legislation, which is based on our India's decision to provide support to minorities in our neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, these three countries. This is seen as a real blatant interference in their internal affairs, trying to divide their society, divide their national citizens. That is a wrong thing to do. If there are problems in any country, if that is affecting another country, that should be sorted out through mutual dialogue and other ways of sorting out issues. But a blatant attack on another country's integrity, sovereignty is a wrong thing to do, and that is what is being perceived through the present legislation in India. And thirdly, various international agencies and countries have also expressed concern about the new legislation. For example, UN Human Rights Committee, they have sent out a resolution. They have said a statement which says that the Indian law is discriminatory. And they have said that we are watching the developments in India with concern. And that's not a statement which can be underestimated. This is a very serious signal that international agencies, international community are really concerned about what is going on in India. And when international agencies and international community are really seriously concerned about this kind of legislation happening in a country like India, why are they concerned? Because this is something that is going to have an impact on the international community. Because ethnicity, religion and things like that, when an explosion happens on the basis of religion and ethnicity, the impact is felt in every part of the world. It is like nuclear explosion. You have a nuclear explosion here, but the impact, the radiation, that would be felt in every part of the world. Just like that, if there is an ethnic clash in a part of the world, the other parts of the world are also affected. So when Indian citizens are divided and India is going to a legislation based on religion and ethnicity, others in the world have reason to be concerned about it, because that will affect them also. When refugees are going out, refugees are knocking at the doors of every other country. Look at what has happened in Europe recently. Some problems started in Syria, Iran, Iraq and other places in northern Africa. The refugees started flowing into the European countries. And that has created such a huge problem in Western Europe. So, international community is really concerned about this legislation. Not only the UN Human Rights Commission, but the US Congress also has expressed its concern about it, because they have said this can have very serious ramifications. And Canada, US, UK and a few other countries have already sent out travel advisories to their citizens. When you are going to India, if you are really serious about going to India, avoid the northeast and other places which are now burning. So these travel advisories are an indication that India is becoming slowly isolated in the international community. We will have to pay a very huge price for the kind of mistakes that we have done in this legislation. And what is wrong with the present legislation? Why is it being completely rejected and attacked by many citizens in the country, various human rights organizations and international agencies? The reason is that, firstly, this Citizenship Amendment Act goes against the principles of Indian Constitution. Because in India, according to 1955 legislation, the Indian citizens are the people who are born to this country. Whether you belong to one particular region or other caste, community, nothing less. It is based on your birth in a country or your ancestry in a country. That is what first thing. This violates that particular fundamental principle about citizenship. And secondly, this legislation actually goes against international laws with regard to citizenship and ethnic relations. Because international agencies like United Nations, through various covenants, through US various legislations, through various resolutions, in the last 50, 60 years, it has come up with a number of very strict laws regarding what should be the manner in which we should deal with this kind of ethnic problems. Ethnic problems are very serious, a very important issue in the world today. Many parts of the world are burning because of this ethnic problem. That is why international agencies like International Court of Law, ICC in The Hague, they are taking up cases which are related to this problem. And thirdly, all international human rights organizations are completely opposed to this present legislation because it goes against human rights, the dignity of human being, because it divides people on the basis of religion. These are all very serious problems that we are facing. We are actually challenging the world with this legislation, saying that we don't care for you. But you cannot get away with such a legislation from the world today. The world is really concerned, and the world is strong enough to take action against any country which violates these fundamental rules of human behavior, ethnicity, ethnic relations, things like that. Look at what has happened to the Cambodian rulers in Khmer Rouge. They killed a large number of people, and they had to face the International Court of Law. Many Khmer Rouge leaders were tried in the International Court of Law, and they were found to be guilty and had to face the punishment for that. Look at Serbia. When Serbia, Herzegovina, Bosnia, in places like that, there was ethnic violence, world had to intervene. World had to send out its troops. UN troops had to come into the scene. India also contributed its troop there. Then people like Milosevic, they had to face a trial in the Court of Law, International Court of Law, and he was punished. And Africa, Rwanda, was ethnic cleansing. But eventually, international community had to intervene. Look at Myanmar. In Myanmar, the Rohingya Muslims, they were thrown out of the country. Now, the day India was passing this particular legislation in Indian Parliament, the Myanmar ruler, Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, she was there at the ICC, International Court of Law, International Court of Justice, trying to defend her own country's actions in the Rohingya areas. She was trying to defend her own government in a very pathetic manner, because everybody knows, everybody in the world knows that there was ethnic cleansing in that part of the world. And she may have to pay a huge price for that. Look at China. In China, the Uyghur Muslims, they are in the Xinjiang minority Muslims. Millions of them have been in concentration camps. China said, no, there is nothing like that. It is only re-education. We are trying to teach them our culture, language, things like that. But the world realized that it is simply ethnic cleansing, efforts at ethnic cleansing. The minority rights are being violated. Their cultural rights are being violated. And naturally, the world interfered in various ways. Sanctions were imposed, very strong words were used, and warnings were issued. And China is trying to say that, look, we have released all of them. There is nothing like that. There were some education classes, but it is no longer there. So every country, even a country like China, had to accept the international pressure. Now Indian society, Indian government is trying to bring in new legislations like a nationwide NRC, National Registry of Citizens. That is, citizenship is taken away from a person, then given it back to him based on the documents he is producing. Millions of people will become stateless. Millions of people will suddenly become non-citizens, like that has happened in Assam today. Where are they going to? Where are they going? Are you going to keep them in a cage? So these kind of issues are things which we cannot actually control. The government may think that we are the ruling party. We have the power. We have the police. We have the military. But at the end of the day, the government will find it that they don't have the strength to contain, control the kind of situation they have created. Look at many rulers like Pinochet of Chile, Umar al-Bashir of Sudan. People, they were all involved in this kind of criminal acts, and they had to pay a price because international community, International Court of Justice, they interfered and sent out warrants against them. India is slowly getting into such a very serious situation, because if the government is going to enforce this act in totality, we are sure that this country will get into an explosive situation. Already 2 people have been shot dead, many more are going to face bullets. And Indian situation will become much more worse. And what is going to be the impact of that? First impact will be an economic collapse. Because without global support, you cannot become the $5 trillion economy that the Prime Minister and Finance Minister claim. Forget about it. We are getting back into a very bad situation, and India is getting internationally isolated. It's a very sad, self-created situation. That is the tragedy of the present Indian situation. Thank you.